Hello and welcome to the Learning Plan walkthrough video for ServiceNow Basics. My name is Josh Nereus. I'm a developer evangelist here at ServiceNow in the developer program, and I've included my contact information on this video in case you want to reach out and have any questions. Also feel free to leave a comment on this video as well. Today we're going to be looking at the ServiceNow Basics module of the Build My First Application course on the ServiceNow Developer Portal. Our objectives for this walkthrough are to identify the main components of the ServiceNow user interface, how to use the application navigator, a little bit about lists and filters, and using forms to create and edit records. I'm not going to cover the process of creating or obtaining a personal developer instance, as this was already covered in a different video. I'll make sure to include a link to that video in the description in case you want to do that. Before I dig in, I did want to mention that these are somewhat informal walkthroughs of the content on the developer portal. It's not necessarily a super shiny, polished demo, but hopefully you'll find this content useful, especially if you need to get a little bit of additional help as you understand and work through these concepts. So the first thing we're going to look at is getting around in ServiceNow. There are three main components, and those components are the banner. The banner is this area at the very top of the screen, and you have things up here like the logo for the instance, information about the currently logged in user, so I can get to things like my profile or impersonation or how I can log out, global search, the ability to launch chat, help, and the ability to open up system settings where we can get to a number of things like what we want our view to be, our theme, certain developer settings like which application is selected, and more. The application navigator is this area on the left-hand side of the screen. So this is where we have all of the menus and modules that link to various applications and components of the platform. You're going to spend a lot of time in the navigator, and really this is the first place you're going to start anytime you want to launch something in ServiceNow. The content frame is this area in the middle. Anytime you open something like an incident form or list view, that content is going to be shown in this frame. There are some exceptions to this. Applications like Studio launch in their own window, but by and large, most things you're going to do in the platform are going to show up in this content frame. List views allow us to explore the records in tables. There are rows and columns to organize the data in that list, and you have a number of controls that allow you to interact with the data in various ways. One of the common things that you'll do on a list is to filter the data. You may only want to see records that match certain criteria, like only show me things where active is true, or maybe we want to look at things in a particular category. We'll get into more detail in the exercise portion of the walkthrough. Forms allow us to see details about a specific record. So while a list view shows us numerous records, a form shows us details for only one of those records. Forms can have sections. Sections also can be referred to as tabs, and here's an example or a screenshot of what that looks like. And forms can also have a view. So views control the things that are displayed on a particular form. You may have more than one view of the same data behind the scenes. So for example, you might have a self-service view that only shows a subset of fields and an administrator view that shows all of the fields for a record. Forms can have annotations which are not data, but they're just information about the form. Annotations could include instructions for how to interact with fields on the form, could include background information about what the form is for, and you can toggle annotations on and off by clicking this ... button and then clicking toggle annotations on off. We're now going to get into an exercise and explore navigation, lists, and forms in a little bit more detail. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate to the incident table, and we do this by first searching for the word incident in the navigator. This reduces the menus and modules to things that match the word incident. And now, as instructed, we're going to click the open module, which is a pre-filtered list of incidents where active equals true. I'm going to temporarily minimize the application navigator by clicking the Minimize Navigator button in the bottom left-hand corner of the navigator. This gives us a little bit more screen real estate to look at our list view. You'll notice that there are rows, one row for each record in the table, and then there are a number of columns that have been configured to show up in the list view. And so we can see things like the number of the incident, some critical details about things like the short description and the caller. And these are things that you can configure as an administrator or as an end user. Admins can make these settings global for everyone that looks at this list view, while you as a user can personalize and add and remove columns that are visible to you. Now that we're on a list view, we're going to work with filtering the records that are shown. What we're going to do is we're going to search for all incident records that contain the word server in the short description field. To do this, we're going to go to the Go To drop-down menu. We're going to change it to short description. And then we're going to type an asterisk followed by the word server. The asterisk is a shortcut that tells this filter to look for anything that contains the word server. I'll press enter on my keyboard, and you'll see that we've now filtered this down to 3 incidents. You'll also notice that this filter breadcrumb now indicates, in addition to active as true, short description contains server is now a filter as well. We can see by actually looking at the short description that the word server is indeed in each of these short description fields for these records. Now we want to add a condition to the filter. We do this by clicking the filter icon, and this is going to open up the condition builder. We can click and this opens up a new clause here at the bottom. We will select the priority field, and we can start typing to filter down the list of fields we want to filter on. We'll click priority, and then we'll say that priority is critical. Now that we've added this additional condition, we'll click run, and the list is filtered down even further. So now instead of 3, we have 2. We're only showing active incidents where the short description contains server and priority is critical. Next, we want to remove a condition. And we do this by clicking the remove condition icon that is next to each condition. If I hover over it, you'll see that the remove condition annotation pops up, and we see a preview of a gray line through the condition that's going to go away if I actually click it. So I'll click this now to remove the condition, and you'll see that our filter now says active is true, priority is critical, and the number of records that actually are returned is expanded, so we're no longer filtering down just to things that contain server. We can also sort lists, and we do this by clicking on the column header for the particular column we want to sort. For example, if we want to sort the caller field by descending order, we can click caller. The field turns blue, and there's a sort indicator next to the field indicating whether or not the sorting is happening in an ascending or descending direction. In this case, we want to sort in a descending order, so we click caller a second time to change the sort order. Finally, we're going to take a look at forms. I'm going to open an incident record by clicking the first column here that has an underline for incident number 18. Clicking this opens the detail form for that record, and we can explore more information about that record now. Taking a look at the detail form, we can see at the top that we have a 2-column layout with a number of important fields at the top. We also have a field that spans the entire width of the screen, and this can be helpful for fields that might contain more data than would reasonably work in a half-width column. Scrolling down, we can see 3 form sections, one for notes, related records, and closure information. And at the very bottom, we can see related records. These are records that have some relationship to this particular incident. We're now going to switch to the closure information section, and we can see more information about closure information. This is useful because it allows you to organize information and only show that information when the user needs it. You don't necessarily always have to have closure information first and foremost on the form, because maybe closure information isn't always relevant. We're now going to change the view, and we do this by clicking the Additional Actions button. We go to the View submenu, and then we click the name of the view that we want. In this case, we're going to switch to Self-Service, and the self-service view is a simplified view of this particular incident. You'll see that we have fewer fields on the form, we don't have the form sections that we had before, And this is useful when you want to give end users a simplified view of information that's relevant to them, while keeping the more detailed information for more advanced users. I'll now switch back to the default view. So for a quick recap, we have looked at the basics of navigation in ServiceNow. We looked at the application navigator and how to find modules within the navigator. We looked at list views and filters. We looked at forms and views. Hopefully you found this video informational and helpful. If you have any questions, please drop us a comment and look for other videos that dive deeper into ServiceNow concepts and to get you up and running with ServiceNow application development. Thanks for watching.